Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Business Time Live with Mags, Boland, Murphy and Boffin Consultancy. And it's great to be back doing this after a long break. And I cannot believe today is the 28th, is it, or 29th of September? 29th, which is a lucky number. 29th of September, we're racing through the year. I'd like to introduce our guest today, and she's an absolute powerhouse of a woman, Joyce Carroll from Wig World. And it's fair to say, Joyce, we know each other a long time now.
We do, Max. We do.
Yeah, and we actually had to talk. We had to think about how we knew each other, how we met. We met through networking, really, and then we met when I was speaking at a couple of things as well. And then you were referred to me for mentoring. And you have a mighty business. It's just a lovely, lovely business. And you know, the challenges that are facing all business owners now with supply chain, cost increase, all that stuff. We'll have a look at that as well as we speak. But your business has been really impacted about that. Before we start on that, tell us a little bit about you, Joyce.
Okay, so as you said, I'm Joyce O'Carroll and I'm living in Waterford, and my business is based in Waterford. I set up Wig World just over 11 years now. When I saw a need for a service that I could provide. Just a little bit of background on me first of how this all came together. I have alopecia, and I'm wearing a wig about 30 years. So I have lots of hands-on experience in the hair replacement industry, and also my career started as a hairdresser. So I'm very unique in the service I provide, because I wear a wig. I'm a wig wearer, and also I'm a qualified hairdresser. So I have that visual aspect as well, and I have that hairdressing eye, and I'm a fully qualified wig specialist.
I didn't actually know that about you, that you were a hairdresser.
Yes.
And that really, I suppose that would make sense, complete sense, given what you do.
I never wanted to be was a hairdresser. I never wanted to be.
Really?
Yeah. And every Saturday I used to go with my mother to, when she'd have her hair done, and I used to be sweeping the floor and tidying the towels. And then I worked as a Saturday girl for years. And then before I did my Leaving Cert, I was working weekends and summer holidays as a hairdresser. And then I went into hairdressing fully when I did my Leaving Cert. My parents wanted me to do my Leaving Cert in case I did want to change career later on, because that was all I ever wanted to do. So yeah, it's quite, I suppose it's little did I think back then how it would all kind of marry together, because when I was training, we did work with wigs for shows and that. So it did kind of come in my advantage when I did lose my own hair, because we knew kind of places in the industry.
And that makes complete sense, you know, that it's brought you to where you are now, to be honest.
Yeah. It's like as all these little things in life have made the business such a success today.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I'm a firm believer in that nothing happens by accident. That everything that's offered to us, I suppose, along the way, we choose, we make choices, and it takes where we end up. Tell everybody a little bit about who you help and who you work with and the type of clients you have. Okay,
so I specialise in all medical related hair loss. So the majority of clients would be people undergoing chemotherapy, radiotherapy. I would also look after clients with alopecia, trichotillomania, where people pull out their own hair. I have a lot of clients at the minute with thinning hair, and I'm seeing this in the last, 5 years has really increased, women with thinning hair. Also post-COVID, people that had very bad cases of COVID, post-COVID hair shedding. So that's another hair loss concern for people. And I look after people of all ages. This year, I've had a client as young as 3, and my oldest client is 93. So that's everyone in between. So
do you think that just something there that you touched on that I'm interested in? Do you think that the increase in people's thinning hair is down to stress and down to what we've had to endure in the last 2 years?
Well, the last 2 years has been very stressful on people. It has been. A lot of people, when we talk, you know, they might be on certain medications as well that might affect their hair, or there might be a family history. Now, yes, I specialise in medical wigs, but I'm not a medical professional. So if someone comes to me, I would always say, have you gone to your doctor? Have you spoke about it? Have you had your bloods done? And then, you know, when they speak to the doctor, they might revert them on to a dermatologist. That's, you know, get the medical side of it. I have my expertise in my side, but that's where I would kind of guide people as well. But stress has played a huge part in the last 2 years, definitely.
And I actually think as well, Joyce, from where I'm sitting and from speaking to business owners and people personally as well, that we are only starting to see the ramifications, the effects of the pandemic. And I think that's going to last quite some time. As a business owner, obviously the pandemic has had a huge effect on businesses worldwide. How have you felt it has affected you as a company? In what ways has it really affected you?
Well, I suppose when COVID hit, I actually made a decision well before Leave Radco made the announcement, because when it was all coming out about this COVID, I was dealing with some very sick clients, terminal clients, and I thought, I don't know enough about this. And I was so nervous dealing with them in case I was giving them something or we just didn't know enough about it. So I made the decision before that announcement to close just for the safety, I suppose, of my clients, because it was too unknown, you know. And then when Leo made the announcement, then, you know, I kind of went into a bit of overdrive. Looking back now, I actually rang Jackie in the LEO in Waterford, because I was kind of a little bit, as a sole trader and on my own, I just needed a little bit of support. So I had a chat and, you know, we thought, God, this won't go on for too long. But look, I just went with it, and I just had to kind of put things in place. How am I going to look after clients, or how am I going to be there for them without physically seeing them? So that was a challenge at the start. And as the weeks went on, then a lot of my suppliers and that did a lot of online Zoom training, and I had to really go in on the health and safety thing. So I really kind of went hell for leather on things like health and safety and that, because I had to learn things, and how, for when I reopened, how I was going to have to put a new format in place.
Yeah, and how have you found that?
I actually, because I just immersed myself into it at the start, when I went back after the first lockdown, I was quite exhausted. But at the end of the day, you know, it all fell into place. You know, the procedures I put into place, it was necessary. And a lot of them I'm still following through with now, you know. And as the time went on, then I suppose I think it's more kind of coming out of COVID now is for my business, for supply chain issues. This is the big knock-on effect now, and the price increases as well, the costing. There's a lot of product now, you know, would be on back order, which I would never have. So now when I have a consultation with the client, I maybe have option 1, 2, and 3, just in case they're out of stock. So at least I give the client an option. But I am seeing that supply chain issue is quite challenging now, and especially for human, you know. And even the costing of all the materials that goes into making the wigs, you know, sometimes now it's price on demand for a human hair wig, and usually they would be on a bit of a back order. So when the client comes, I have to tell them, look, I need to check the suppliers.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because someone has to carry that cost as well.
Yeah.
Price, unfortunately, the price has to be passed on to the consumer and the client. Yeah. That's really difficult, you know. You've told me heaps of stories over the years about lovely little stories. Some of them would really pull at the heartstrings, but then there's other lovely stories about what your service and what your products make possible for people. And can you just tell us, pick out 1 or 2 instances that you told me a couple of them now over the last couple of years about the type of clients that you've helped. Can you just kind of tell us a little bit about it?
So I suppose, yes, because I look after people of every age, and like as a woman, our hair is our main feature. It's our biggest feature, even though we don't.
Yeah.
And whether you have good hair, bad hair, or even if you're not into your hair, if you have a bad hair day, you know yourself, even me wearing a wig, if I wash it and it's a bit too soft and I can't do anything with it, I'm just, the way, as a woman with your hair.
Yeah.
But it is our biggest feature, but it's not classed as that. And it's not really until it's taken away that you can have these different emotion and effects, and it does affect everyone differently.
100%. And I can tell you something, and I know she won't mind me saying this. When my mom had cancer, the biggest thing for her, because she's always looked after two things. She's always looked after herself, but she's always looked after her hair and her skin. And I never saw my mum without her wig.
Yeah.
Never. And she wouldn't let any of us see it.
Yeah.
But then, she had an awful time trying to get one that was comfortable and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Now that's quite a few years ago, and she's flying it now. But it's just that kind of, it's to make you feel human, and that you're okay, that you're having an okay day. If your hair's not right, it sounds really, really like a first world problem, but it's all about your mindset as well.
Yeah. But it's especially the thoughts of when people come to me, just say they might have a diagnosis, they might be starting chemotherapy, they might have hair loss within 6 weeks. So this is all, and there's so much going on, and the thoughts maybe of losing their hair, it's the thoughts of going through it all. So when someone comes to me for the first consultation, when they're coming in to me, I'm looking at their hair, I'm looking at the roots, I'm looking as a hairdresser, I'm thinking, okay, their hair is done 6 weeks, the colour will be a little bit darker, might be a bit longer. And I ask all these questions, and that leads that day when we have that consultation, I try and put the client at ease, and I tell them what to expect and when to expect it. So from their chemo plan, the nurse might say on your second treatment. So I would explain to them that when your hair starts to shed, it's like just general kind of hair shedding that anyone would experience, but then it gets worse as the days go on. So I would encourage them to come to me then. Now, some people like to shave it off well beforehand. It's all personal choice. So at least then most of them tell me when they leave that day, we've kind of built up a little rapport. And I'm actually getting emotional now saying that,
No, that's a lovely thing. And I think Joyce, not just saying it to you, but you take a real interest in your clients. Yeah. And I love that, because don't get sad on me. But you know what, as my dad used to say, better out than in, get the tears out.
Yeah. And
that's good stuff. That's good stuff. But
yes, I know as a woman, I don't want to see, and it is hard. And some people come and the days, people say to me, oh, I don't know how you do that job. It's so hard, shaving off people's head, working with children. I'm making it easier on them because they've built up that connection with me, and we've built up a little trust. So on the day that maybe I am going to shave their hair, I'm very sensitive, and I ask them, do they want to turn away from the mirror? And if they don't, I talk and we keep it natural. And sometimes if people have long hair, I transition up to maybe a short bob to say, well, look, when your hair comes back, this is what you'll be transitioning to. So, we keep the conversation flowing, and, and it's okay if someone has a tear, because as I say, we're not made of stone, and it is hard, and they are going through a lot, but I can make that little bit easier that day rather than going into a full hairdressing salon to take their hair off. And to be honest, it's the thoughts of taking off the hair, because when it's done, then I don't ever just shave it into that there's nothing. I always I say the Sinead O'Connor, or I prefer the Demi Moore cut. So it's kind of like a number 2. So they have a visual of hair, so you're not looking, and that visual makes a huge difference, But yeah, sometimes, I do get emotional too, but I'm normal too. I don't want to see. Yeah. I had, I do a lot of work for the charity, the Little Princess Trust in the UK, and they take donated hair, and they make it into wigs for children, teenagers up to the age of 24 going through chemotherapy or any medical hair loss. And I had a young 12-year-old there recently, and she was going through chemotherapy, and she made the decision that she wanted to donate her hair before her hair fell out. Now, I'd never had this from someone, and I was absolutely blown away that she was so thoughtful to do this. It was really special. And her mum shaved her hair, took her hair off as well. So the two of them donated it. And that was a really special day, you know, when she came and I fitted her wig. And like, when I'm working on these wigs, you know, there's a lot of time and effort goes into it, and I want it to be perfect and I want it to be right. So I put a lot of love and care and attention into getting it.
And this is kind of the stuff behind, you know, every business, there's a background to it, right? And this is kind of the real tangible sense of the world. God, you nearly got me there, because my daughter she'll be 12 next week. And I'm thinking how lucky we are to have our health, and you know, to see a child at that age having that maturity and kindness at that age to be able to do
this, you know. And you know, we still wear masks in the studio because I deal with a lot of vulnerable people. And that day I did get quite emotional, you know.
Yeah.
She did say to me, she said, "Are you crying?" And I said, "You know what? I've just put so much work in for this to be right for you." And I said, "This is such an amazing thing for you to do. Be very proud," you know. And she was thrilled, you know.
That's
and her wig was lovely on her as well. She had a bit of natural curl in it. And, you know, it's lovely. Look, you get back from people. Like, people send you texts. People send you a message. My oldest client, she's 93. She's thinning hair. The day she comes to the studio, I'm on a high, because she skips in the door, and all through lockdown, she's just such a lovely person. And she always likes to give me a hug. And for 2 years, we couldn't do that, and I am a hugger, you know. And, you know, when I see her, she really brightens up my day, because she visually loves looking at herself when she drops her wig to be washed, and she sees it makes her look good. And I can see it in her face. And everyone's different.
You know what? This is the real life stuff, Joyce. Yeah. Like, we all go out to run our businesses and run companies. And that's all fantastic. But it's the other side of it. Like, someone asked me recently, you know, do you really love what you do? Because you seem to. And I said, I absolutely do, but I couldn't do it unless I could get up in the morning. I'm delighted that I can do this. Now, there are days, and obviously you have them as well, when you're just utterly exhausted. And people's perception of what a business owner's life is like is different to the reality. And there's an example of the backstory and what really happens behind the doors in your business. You know, I think that's really lovely. That's a little, really, that's kind of heart stuff, heart and soul stuff right there. You know, you obviously enjoy it. Can I ask you now as well, like, in your business and in my business as well, we're dealing with people's problems and we're dealing with difficult situations, completely different into the spectrum. But the one thing I suppose that I always speak about to clients is, and I had this conversation with with a female business owner of a fantastic company yesterday. I actually asked her, I said, are you okay? Like, you need to mind yourself. You look tired. Like, that work-life balance piece is so, so important. Does it exist for you, Joyce? Do you have it there?
And I wouldn't be doing the business, and I wouldn't have the business built to what I have now, and I wouldn't be able to look after the clients like I did if I didn't have that. It's imperative I do that.
How do you achieve it?
So first off, I have I go to supervision. So if I go to supervision, I have a fantastic lady I go to. So that's someone told me that a number of years ago, and I started going to supervision. Also, if I would have a very full-on day, I'd make sure that, you know, I love walking, and that I would have my downtime. I might go out. I'm very lucky to live near the coast. I'd go out and I'd go for a lovely beach walk or a coastal walk. Might go off for a cycle. I just look after myself, because if I don't the business can't sustain that, you know, as a sole trader. But I have to look at, especially because I'm dealing with the clients I deal with, and this because of the service that I give, and that's just me, that service I offer, you know, that's just me as a person as well. But life balance is very important, and self-care is very important. Very important. I even talk to that about the clients when they're going through, you know, whether it's their sudden hair loss or chemotherapy, you know, there are supports out there to, you know, help you, or, you know, guide you through, or just, you know, just support you. But definitely self-care. I'm high on the self-care list.
That's great. And I think it's hugely important, whether it's for a walk.
Yeah.
And only recently, I think since COVID, I've had to take a look at my own business and work-life balance as well, because you do need to make that time.
Yeah.
What do you feel, I suppose, as a business owner as well, is the most important spend of time in your business?
In my business.
For me, just I suppose it would be the time I spend on the business, and you know, I won't betide anyone that comes in between me and that. You know, that's just for me. But then
I suppose
time is also very important to me as well.
Yeah, I suppose the clients is what I love. The business, the back, the admin, the accounts, all that end of it that's not me. I love working with the clients. That's where I'm passionate, and my expertise. I just love that. And I love getting it right for people. And I love personalizing it when it comes in. You know, I just love dealing with the clients and giving them what they want and showing them how to achieve that. And when they go home, that I'm always there for them. They can message me, you know, on a WhatsApp, and I can, you know, it's only just something simple when they go home, if they're not sure. But it's all new to them. So I want it to be right. And they're all small, little, simple things, but I do love working with the clients. The office and all that behind it is not, no. But it has to be done, but it's the clients is my favourite part of the job.
Yeah, I have to say I really enjoy seeing people go from A to the other end of the alphabet. I love to see that happen.
But Mags, even like, you know, it's a good few years since I had you as a mentor first off.
Yeah, that's correct.
And the support you gave me was, you know, and I know I've said it before, but like for me, you know, especially sometimes as a sole trader, you work on your own, you're juggling everything, and that support is huge, and you just set me on the right track again, and you were just amazing to me. So you're
thank you
in your job, you know.
But that's easy, Joyce, when people are focused and committed like yourself.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. You have to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
I don't do the magic stuff. It's the clients like yourself that do that.
Yeah.
And I have to say, you're very easy to work with. And it's nice because, you know, I'm absolutely a believer in, you know, championing success and progress. We need to do more of that stuff, because that's what keeps the economy going, and what keeps valuable services like the one that you provide open for people. Because I know the HSE use your services as well, you know, and medical professionals. And if you're not open, then we don't have somebody that they trust to send clients to. And likewise for me, if I closed in the morning, then there's a long list of people that refer business to me. They don't and it's all about that just making a choice to step up to the plate and do what needs to be done. And, you know, and have a bit of crack and fun along the way. Business is serious, but, you know, at the end of the day, we're not running charitable organisations, as I say. It's good to give back 100%, and we do that all the time, but it's also to keep your eye on what you're doing. It's like playing a game of sport or doing a league or doing a championship, that, you know, the players, if it's the focused and driven players will achieve, and they keep their eye on the plan. They stick to what they need to do.
I suppose when I started the business, when all this idea came, like I had my own hair loss experience, and how it really came to fruition was when I went with a friend of mine who had breast cancer. Now, and I was new in the industry. I used to go to the UK for years for my wig, so I didn't have any experience. Well, I did first in Ireland 30 years ago. I went to a guy and I had really fine straight hair, and he put this afro wig and he frightened the life out of me. So that's, I used to go to the UK, but I went with a friend of mine to get her wig, and she was just kind of sewed the wig in the box. No aftercare, no nothing, no cut your hair off, no tips, tricks, nothing like that. And that's when the whole business concept kind of really came to fruition. I would have loved and thought it would be lovely to do something in this area. And when I really knuckled down to putting this idea into bringing it to reality, the first thing was I'd always provide exceptional customer service and premium product. And that is never faltered on. And even with COVID and all that, that is never faltered on. So I think, that's
important, Joyce, do you feel customer service is in the marketplace?
Oh, I think it's very important. And, even if you go into a shop, it's just even small things, customer service. And I think it's very important to look after the customer and provide.
I agree with you. And it's a thing that I see a lot of services faltering on. And it kills me because I can see the potential. But it's not necessarily their fault either. You need to show the generations coming up how to serve people properly and proficiently with kindness. It ain't rocket science stuff, but it's amazing how many businesses that I see don't exercise that. But then I see a lot of businesses that do exercise that. And I do think it's definitely, if you can't serve your customers, they're not going to come back.
And it's nice, Max, when I'm out, I often say, God, thank you. That was really nice. It's nice to give that nice feedback. Like people would text me, or a few days later, they might send me a little message of how which is lovely, because they're taking time. So it's nice to be, when I have a good service out, it's nice to say thank you. That was really nice to experience that.
And that's something actually that I'm going to say to anyone who's listening in. If you are going in to get a service, whether it's in a shop, a deli, cafe, in a hotel, a product provider, just say thank you.
Thank you.
Because you don't know how much, in the hospitality sector, people work incredibly hard. They work incredibly long hours, and it's graft, hard graft. But the amount of people that don't stop to say thank you, right? I think that could really help somebody. They might be having a bad day. And they might need that recognition as well, that they're doing a good job. So it's not just always on the side of the person providing the service. We as consumers, really and truly, I know we're not obliged to, but it makes a difference, because if you can be nice to people, it's building a relationship too. People will deal with people, and they will look after you that little bit extra if it's a two-way process.
That's true.
What would be the one piece of advice that, given our current climate at the moment, Joyce, that you would give to other business people right now?
I suppose, like, I'm quite lucky. I surround myself with good people. Now, I know with COVID and that, things slightly changed, but I do want to get back to, like, I'm very lucky over the years. I've met some amazing people through my work, and it's okay to lean on them, or if you did need advice, or maybe if you had an issue, you could ask for advice, because I know if someone rang me or mailed me to another business colleague, I'd be happy to help if I could, or lead them in the right direction. I think it is important, especially for me as a sole trader, to surround yourself by good people. And, those people are support to you as well.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I think something I'd always say, and I'm not always right, but something I'd always say, my grandmother used to say to me when I was a little girl, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. And I think I always remember that. And that's years and years ago, but the same applies now. to us as adults, personally and professionally. Like if you can surround it's the people in your business, your suppliers of service, the people who work for you and with you, and the people who you interact with around you every day. They are the people who make your business possible.
Yeah.
And they help you to succeed. And I think it's, if you have people you trust who are on the same page as you, and sometimes you need the odd person that isn't on the same page as you.
Yes, yeah, just to give
rise to things as well. Yeah. But if you can surround yourself with good people who are, you know, trustworthy and they have your interest at heart, it's like when you're in a company yourself, been employed, you have those people around you. They're like your colleagues.
Yes,
if that makes sense.
And another thing, Mags, is a lot of, you know, this post-COVID issues with the business, it's beyond my control, which has been hard, you know, because I like to be organised and I like to have all my ducks in a row, as they say.
I know
you know, but this is out of my control, which is, you know, I have to go easy on myself in that, you know, that it's not me. So that's another thing, you know, with issues in the business coming out of COVID, you know, we have to be mindful that they're not, you know, they are issues maybe that are out of our control.
And I feel as well, and that's really important point actually, Joyce, because no matter what business you're in at the moment, whether it's construction, whether it's professional care services like yourself, whether it's professional business services like us, whether it's hospitality and tourism, whether it's the media, retail, whatever sector it is, we all have to deal with challenges, but then you have to look at it and say, well, how can we work under or around those challenges as well? And sometimes you've got to offer it up, you know, you just got to say, right, I am completely beyond control in any area, you know.
And in the second lockdown, I had to make a serious, very hard decision. And I thought, oh my goodness, this could break or make the business. Because my service is so specialised and I customise each wig, I didn't sell online. Now that was a huge thing, but I felt it was the right thing to do. So what I did in supporting people then is just, you know, we did video calls and WhatsApp, but I did not sell online because they weren't getting the product they wanted and I mightn't see them. So I had to make that decision, and I felt it was the right decision at the time, and I still do think it was the right decision, you know.
Yeah. It's a very unique service, and, you know, you've been recognised nationally as well, you know, with numerous awards for the service that you provide. And I think that's a real testament.
It's the experience as well.
Yeah, it is. It's not just the end of the road. It's
not just like buying a wig out of a box, because, you know, it's like going to maybe say Dunn's for trousers or Brown Thomas, you know, it's more tailored. And like, people don't realise with wigs, it's so specialised, you know, the fit is so important. If you don't have the fit, you're at nothing. Hair density, cap construction, they're all the main things. And people usually say, oh, I want a human hair wig. They just think this, but it's all about those other things I just mentioned to create, and me customising it well and educating them on how to wear it and how to maintain it and how to use it, you know.
I think that's hugely important because it's bespoke. So it's not just, as I said to somebody yesterday, we can't just throw something out. We don't work like that. Like you, everything is built around a specific business because one piece does not fit all.
Exactly.
And I think that care piece can reassure people as well. You know, and that they know there's something there for them.
Yeah, and even, you know, when I'm talking to people, like when, you know, if you've got a new pair of jeans and that, sometimes they put them on and they're like, oh, you know, they might be a little bit tight even though you're fit. A wig is the same. It comes in the box and the manufacturers. It has to sit on your head. You have to wear it for it to settle in, but it does settle. And people really have to put their trust in me. It does settle, but you have to wear it for it to settle. I experience the same thing every time I get a new wig, you know, and by wearing it, it does settle, and that makes it more natural then, you know.
Yeah. And can I ask you finally, right, before we wrap up, have you any other little tip or gem that you would like to share with listeners? What have you found really useful in the business, for the business?
Well, there's supports out there. The supports that are out there are fantastic, and don't be afraid to use them.
Absolutely.
There's some amazing supports, like the Leo and Waterford have been fantastic to me. And especially as a sole trader, and with the last 2 or 3 years, they have been an amazing support to me, and they are there, but
I would second that as well, actually, because we do good work in Waterford. They're amazing, proactive. They're very proactive in Waterford. And the Leos around the country provide a lot of, and it's something, sorry for interrupting you, Joyce, but it's something that I think a lot of businesses aren't aware of, that there is a very strong Leo network nationally. We work with a lot of the Leo entities. And there are services there, advisory services. Obviously there's mentoring, but there's different courses as well, and workshops. And
back in the day, I think we met through Wexford. I used to go Wexford.
We did, that's correct, yeah.
But I don't think the business is so busy now, but that's back in the day. I used to really enjoy. We used to meet the girls from Wexford, like Samantha Kelly and Miriam from Carlow.
Yeah, Miriam Lloyd.
Yeah, we used to meet them at all the different events, who would be good friends now. We support each other on our social medias and that. But no, the Leos are a fantastic support. And I suppose another little gem is you don't ever falter on, like as I said before, premium product, exceptional customer service. That's never faltered. And if it is, the doors will be closing.
And I often say you have to have standards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's another thing. We were only discussing that in the office here on Monday, that if you don't have the standard, like I would always push and say there's more in the tank, how can you the ante and increase the offering to clients and the support. Now, obviously, it's very hard. We're a small team, but there's always more you can do. And I think and that's something I would say to any business owners actually listening in, that standards start at the top, and they're not to be played with. They're to hold you accountable and to hold your team accountable and to help you deliver something that is unique. It will set you apart from other providers of similar services in the marketplace.
And I'm lucky, Max, people travel from all over to me. I have people Dublin, Cork, Limerick. People do travel for my service. But I used to travel to the UK 30 years ago because it was important to me, So...
That's great. And, I'm going to just say, if anyone is interested in finding out more about what you provide, to jump online and look at wigworld.ie. And I'm sure they can follow you on Twitter as well. What's your Twitter handle?
Wigworld Waterford.
Wigworld Waterford.
I'm on all the social. I'm on all this. Instagram is fairly popular for me. I'm on Facebook. Instagram is quite a big hit with me at the minute. And I do love Twitter. I have to say, I do love Twitter. I've met some amazing people through Twitter, and I've made lots of connections. It really just depends on the platform that you probably suits you best, Yeah, Twitter is my Twitter handle. Joyce.
Joyce, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Meg.
It's always a pleasure, never a chore.
Yeah.
And we will talk to you soon. And this is Mags Boland Murphy from Business Time Live, wishing everyone a good day in business and in life.